This is Happily Holistic, where we dive deeply into everything health and wellness with a big dash of spirituality and a sprinkle of business. We spotlight the uplifting and the positive and share the secret ways top wellness authors and celebrities get inspired, stay healthy, and enjoy this beautiful life. I'm your host, Amy Lee Mercury, best-selling author of 15 books and holistic health expert for the last 19 years. I can't wait to get happily holistic with you today. Hello, and welcome to Happily Holistic. I'm so excited to have Amanda with me today, and I'm just really saying, I did not ask you how to pronounce your last name, Amanda. Will you say it for me?
It's Karsnia, Amanda Karsnia.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I've known you for years, and I've never known how to pronounce your last name. I'm just realizing that. Amanda Karsnia.
It's a tricky one.
I originally, my birth name was a very tricky last name, so I totally understand that journey. So Amanda is with us today, and I'm so excited. I think we've known each other for quite a few years now, huh? Like
it's
kind of
social
wise, and yeah, we've kind of been, supporting each other on social media, as a lot of us do in wellness, which is really fun. And Amanda is a certified crystal healer, and she and her husband travel all over the US to hand select every crystal that they offer in her online crystal shop, golightlyhealing.com. Am I right?
Yep.
Yes. golightlyhealing.com. Her Instagram is Golightly Crystals, and her podcast for all kinds of crystal info is Golightly Radio. Where do they find your podcast, Amanda?
You can find it on Apple, Spotify, any of the major streaming platforms. Everywhere.
Yeah. So I think I could know the answer to this, but I'm not sure. Where does the name Golightly come from?
So it's actually kind of a really special story, at least for me. It was back in 2016, I was meditating, and this is when I was really getting into meditation. And I read your book a little bit about, meditation. And I was just really diving into going within. And so during a meditation, the word Golightly kept coming up. And my absolute favorite movie is Breakfast at Tiffany's. So I immediately thought, I'm like, oh, well, I wonder why this is coming up. And then I stayed with the word, and then it kind of was like, no, it's like go lightly into everything that you do. And it was just this profound understanding that I had. And that day I called my husband and I was like, I need to start a business. I need to do this full time. I really want to go forward with just everything that I was offering at the time, kind of on the side. So that's where the name came from.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I like that philosophy of going lightly into life.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel? Do you feel like that's informed your choices since you kind of received that guidance?
100%. How I got into crystals actually is I used to experience anxiety to the point that I was having panic attacks. And I feel like I started working with crystals and it just changed everything for me. I became so much calmer and I was so much more present and aware, and I really started to go lightly, and it just all came together in the most special way. I'm so grateful.
I love that. That. So tell us how you worked with healing anxiety with crystals, what you did specifically, because I think especially this year, 2020, we're all kind of dancing with that experience a little bit.
So for me, I knew very little about crystals. I was drawn to them because, of course, they're gorgeous, and so
Yeah.
I gravitated to them for what I thought was their beauty. But the first time I ever purchased crystals, they were actually I got a small tumbled blue lace agate, and I just thought like just looking at it was so soothing to me. And
Yeah.
so I read the little card at a little crystal boutique I was at, and it said that it helped with anxiety. So I was like, well, I have nothing to lose. Let me try this. And I had it on me for a few days. And there were times that I forgot I even had it with me. It was like in my pocket or like in my purse. I just always was bringing it with me throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I just felt I felt different. I felt, like I said, more calm and more present and more just aware, and it was like this peaceful energy. And
Yes.
it took me a few days to realize like the only thing that had changed was I had this crystal with me. So it
Interesting.
sparked, yeah, it sparked my curiosity as to like what exactly was happening.
Right.
And at the time, like I had spoke to a few people and they were kind of like, oh, like maybe it's just like the thought of it is working for you.
Right.
And I
Right.
was like, even if that was the case, I don't care because I feel better.
Right. It
Um,
worked.
yeah, it worked. And then so I shortly after I discovered crystal healing and kind of like the science behind it. And I was like, okay, it's not just in my head.
Yes.
It's a real thing. So
Hmm.
that's how I really got into crystals. And then
Yeah.
once I realized like the effect that they had on me, all I wanted to do was share them with other people that were drawn to them or interested in them, just because they really changed my life. And I know that that sounds
Mhm.
like very like dramatic, but it is in a way, like I live so much more peacefully now. So
Right. It's the truth for you, and it's profound, and to
yeah,
share that with other people is so
so
gratifying.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you do crystal healing, what is a session like?
So with crystal healing, I focus a lot on the chakras, which
Hmm.
I'm sure, well, you know very well, but incorporating crystals into, like, I do energy healing like Reiki,
Hmm.
and it was just so natural to incorporate crystals into
Right.
that for me. So I offer sessions. I've been doing a lot of distant healing
Yes,
over the past few months.
I bet.
That's been really, really popular.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just really kind of understanding what somebody is experiencing, what they're looking to, like what type of energy they're wanting to incorporate into their
Hmm.
lives or like shift, and then just knowing the crystals to kind of work with. And it's
Yeah.
cool because even if somebody's not able to work with me one-on-one, like in person, I'm able
Yeah.
to kind of suggest crystals.
Yes.
And it's so easy to work with crystals. Like there's such an everyday experience. You can incorporate them into your life, whatever, like in whichever way is convenient for you.
Yes.
So it's like a really natural, easy way to approach healing, I think.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like I always think of each crystal as a living being. And
Yeah.
so they kind of, they act as portals and open doors to different energies and hold different frequencies and have
Mhm.
a way of helping us tune into things and tap into things that we might need that maybe we don't have as much of stored up within us energetically, and so then it
Yeah.
lets us kind of tune into that frequency. That's kind of how I think of it. Is it
Of
similar?
course. Yeah, no, you're spot on. And that's something that I find like so fascinating about crystals is that we're drawn to
Mhm.
the exact crystal that we need. And
Yes.
a lot of times people don't even really like consciously understand maybe why they're drawn to a certain stone. And then once you
Right.
start to really connect with it, it just makes total sense. And
Yeah.
the more you research it or learn about it, and that's so cool to me that like energetically we're connecting with them before we
Yes.
even understand why, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, And then the other thing is like crystals, every single crystal is so unique. Like there are like so many different types of crystals, and you can be holding 2 rose quartz, for example, and they're unique in their own way, just like we are. And so I find that really special too. It's part of the reason I have such a large collection. That's how I justify it to my husband. I'm like,
Your
listen,
giant
they're
collection.
all different.
Has he gotten, on board with crystals and really enjoys them now too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So 2 years ago, he actually became like a business partner because he came to the Denver Gem and Mineral Show, which I just got back from this year. But he came with me, and he experienced his own like crystal connection. And the same thing happened. He just was like, I need to find out more. Like, why is this happening? He had me, which was nice because I could kind of walk him through it. But he has, like, just in the last few years, he started meditating, and he's like really into like the holistic side of things now. And it's just incredible. Yeah. So I think really him working with crystals was kind of like an introduction to this whole world that we love, right?
Yes.
So.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that. What are some of your personal favorite crystals, and why?
I have so many. And
I bet.
I think that it changes, like depending on what I'm like, where I'm at. But one of my favorite crystals, well, it's my absolute favorite. It's called ahawite, and it's not a super common stone. It's actually a little bit hard to source, but just, which makes me love it even more.
Exactly. It's rare and special.
Yes. But it's just the most gorgeous. So it's often found in quartz, and it's just like a beautiful, it's like a Tiffany blue color.
Pretty.
And in a lot of them, it's like a spray of like, many have like angel wing like formations, and I love it. So that's like I call it my soul stone. So that's like that I just felt immediately, and just in a different way than any other stone. So that's probably my favorite.
I love that. That's one I think many of us probably haven't heard of. So it's fun to hear. How do we spell that word?
AJOITE.
I would not have realized that was a J. Good thing I asked you.
It's just the most stunning. You have to look it up.
I know. I'm excited now to check it out. I was telling Amanda, if you're listening to us just on audio, you can't see what we're wearing in the video, which we have on YouTube, but I'm wearing this light blue t-shirt, and then I put this sequin kind of iridescent white with kind of a light blue jacket over it, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm interviewing Amanda, and those are the colors I think of for you, because it's just to be like, I don't know, I guess maybe you have it a lot in your branding and your color palette and what you wear, and it's just kind of your vibe. So of course your favorite is a light blue crystal. And your first encounter was too, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love, it's so funny. I love, one of my favorite colors is that Tiffany blue color.
Me too.
And yes. And then also holographic. I'm obsessed. I love the color. Yes. So I love sparkle and just light.
Me too. Me too. I always am excited when I have an excuse to wear this coat, which by the way, I got in the children's department in Target.
You did?
I did. It's like
I would have never,
large.
I would live in that. Like that, I would sleep in that. Like that
I love this coat. I mean,
it's an entire vibe.
I know. I have to admit, I find a lot of my like fun clothes in the children's department at Target. Like skirts, like there are these like tutu skirts or these sequin skirts. They're an XL. So they're like, they work for me. And I just, like, when I go to Target, I usually cruise through the children's department.
I'm definitely going to check it out.
You should. There's a lot of good stuff in there. One of my all-time favorite skirts, which I actually put on this weekend to go out to dinner with my boyfriend, and decided this is too much. I can't just wear this out to dinner. It's a lavender's my favorite color. A lavender like tutu skirt. It's not real fluffy though, and it's got little silver sparkles from Target. It's like a
and
little.
You did wear it?
No, I didn't, because
I wish you did.
I a lot of times I would, but it was raining and we weren't going to a super dressy restaurant. I thought another time when we go somewhere more dressy, I could wear this, but it was kind of like not quite romantic. I think I maybe wore a denim skirt instead, but
you're saving it for a special day.
Yes, and I might have worn it to my birthday party last year. It's that kind of a skirt.
Oh, perfect.
You need a tutu, you know. It's actually in some of the pictures I did for the book launch for A Little Bit of Goddess. If you ever see, I mean, they're not really like up top in my feed now or anything, but if you ever happen to see that and I'm wearing a lavender skirt, it's that one.
I'm definitely going to scroll.
It's that, you know what, I just saw it the other day in my highlights under like I think it was the Goddess Rising. It was something about goddesses. One of the first things in the highlight, it's from that book launch. It's that skirt. It's this picture where I'm like, it looks like I'm blowing sparkles. And I'm like,
I love it. That's the perfect.
Yeah. Years back when I got a consultant who like, you know, helps you with your website and everything, she said, it kind of looks like you're a party planner, so we might need you to be more sophisticated. I was like, fine. No more tutus. I'll save my Target children's department wear for my personal fun time.
Right.
Yeah. So back to our crystal stuff. I'll ask you, since you're our crystal healer, do you want to know one of my favorite? I have a couple favorite stones. Do you want to?
I was literally just thinking, I need to know what your favorite is.
And I kind of want to hear your, like, what that tells you. I love rose quartz. Everybody loves rose quartz, but my favorites are Moonstone.
Mm-hmm.
I love Moonstone. I love Larimar.
Oh, yes.
I love Larimar. I love pink tourmaline.
Okay.
And I love blue topaz when it's like light but turquoisey and clear.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Okay, so right away, Moonstone. I feel like, that it holds like goddess energy, right? Yes. So it's so on point for you.
Any color Moonstone. Every Moonstone I love.
Yes. Do you connect with the moon?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay. And then it's also like it's a very intuitive stone, right? Yeah. So the work that you're doing, it makes total sense why you would be drawn to something like that.
Yeah.
And then what was the second one
Larimar.
you mentioned? Larimar. So Larimar is gorgeous.
I love Larimar.
Again, so Larimar connects with the throat chakra, and I feel like it makes sense because of like the work that you're doing. You're sharing so much.
Yeah.
So Larimar, it also has like a very like calming, soothing energy. Definitely. It's like being at the ocean for me. That's what
it does for me. It's that it's like a dolphin. It reminds me of when I've swam with wild dolphins.
Of course. So yeah. Makes perfect sense. Pardon?
That fits then. Actually, my colors match too today.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned pink tourmaline.
Yeah.
So pink tourmaline, I always think I'm very like I'm obsessed with the heart chakra and living from that energy center. Yeah. And so for me, like pink tourmaline, I immediately think of the heart, and I just think of just connecting with that energy. And I'm sure that you feel the same.
Yeah.
And there was one more you mentioned.
Blue, what did I say? Blue topaz.
Blue topaz, again, another throat chakra.
Yeah. Seems to be a theme.
I know, yes. And the color that you mentioned, that's like the same that I look for. It's just
Is
like,
it?
it is, yeah, because I don't know, I'm so drawn to those colors.
I am
that
too.
energy. Yeah.
Me too. I think that's why we always resonate. I think we like the same color schemes.
We should go crystal shopping together. I
We
feel
should.
like
Oh my gosh, that'd be so fun. That would be so fun. When you guys go like to the Denver Mineral Show, how do you select your crystals? I know you're like pretty specific about how you do it.
Okay, so Denver is my absolute favorite show. So we go to all of the major US gem and mineral shows.
Yeah.
We don't order crystals, like
You pick them all out.
Yeah, I love to connect with them. I think it's the most important part of my process.
Yeah.
And so Denver is my favorite show. Tucson is huge. It's like
I've heard
the
that.
entire like, yes,
I've had clients
it's very
for that and I hear about it.
Yeah, Tucson was the first show that I ever went to, and I was so extremely overwhelmed because it's so spread out. There's so many places to go to, and for me, Denver, I just love it. It's everything is so like conveniently placed. So I'm able to like really slow down and just kind of be so present. But we were just there for 8 days, and it was a little bit different this year, but it was amazing. It was so good to see everybody again and to be able to shop crystals, which is my absolute favorite thing to do. So for me, it's really, really important to connect with the stone, especially because I think that being able to offer them to others, like I understand how important the crystals will be to the people who are connecting with them. Right. So for me, hand selecting them and just like the quality and the just the experience, the energy, right? The people that I'm purchasing from, like I just the energy of the entire experience is so important to me. And it's something that I think makes us a little bit different, that we do go to each of the shows.
So. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just it's incredible to be with sometimes crystals that are like larger than life, you know, and so many crystals at the same time. It's like every crystal lover's dream.
Yeah. Does it make kind of all your intuitive senses go like, oh, so much? It was for me, I think.
Yes, I think that's what happened when I went to Tucson for the first time.
Yeah.
I was just very open and very just overwhelmed, I would say, with all of the energy and all of the like everything going on. So I really work on, I always meditate before we leave the show, and I just make sure that I'm grounded. Yeah, and it's so funny because my husband Joe will say to me, he's like, you get in this zone where like you start selecting crystals, and it's amazing for him to watch. And for me, it's just like, I just do it, right? But I just kind of tune everything out and I just connect with the crystal. And it's such a special experience for me that I think like I feel so blessed to be able to go to these shows and to be able to select crystals the way that I do, because I feel like I'm honoring them in a way. Do you know? Like,
I think you are. Yeah.
So that's what we do. That's what I love to do.
And it sounds like it's really part of your life's mission at this time to be in that flow and choose these crystals, and then ultimately connect them to the people they need to go to.
Yeah, I want to help people. And I feel like to be able to have the crystals move through me is just, it's an absolute honor. Like they're they're so sacred, and they hold so much wisdom, and they are just so intuitive, like themselves, that I don't know, it's a really powerful personal journey working with crystals, I would say. And so I'm very, very honored to be able to do what I do. I love them very much.
Yeah. So 2020 has been a year, even though it's not over at the time we're recording. It's still heating up. So if you were going to give our listeners, like, let's say like 3 crystal recommendations, so crystals that they could, bring into their lives to help them weather the uncertainty and the changes and the stress, and either find the joy in those moments or find peace with those moments, what would be like your top 3 just kind of all-purpose 2020 crystals? So we need some all these good help getting through 2020 here.
Definitely. So one of the first crystals that comes to mind, and because it's so easily accessible, I recommend it to a lot of people, is black tourmaline. And I love this for its grounding abilities, but also it's amazing for transmuting negative to positive. So it's really like a protective grounding stone, but it also really helps us to kind of shift energy and move our own energy, our focus to the more positive. And I love that. So black tourmaline would be one of my top 3.
Right.
I've been working with a lot of clients who have been experiencing anxiety. So
me too.
Of course. So a crystal that is geared more towards like feeling anxious or overwhelmed. So something like lepidolite is, again, easily accessible. It's pretty common. Lithium quartz, I love. It's very, very calming, very soothing. Or kunzite. So just any type of crystal that kind of allows the emotional body, but also the physical body, to kind of slow down, to kind of calm down. It's very beneficial to like even our nervous system. So any crystal, like it totally will depend on the person, but if you were to search for crystals that help with anxiety and then just see which one resonates with you personally, like honestly, even Larimar, I know we were just talking about that. It's great for
very calming.
Yes, very, very calming. So I would definitely recommend one of those crystals. And then also, I'm somebody who loves to focus on manifesting, like what I want and what's gonna, So there's 2 crystals. I know you said pick 3, but I've given you full option.
Over. We love it. Tell us more.
Yeah. So fluorite is amazing for focus.
Fluorite.
Yes. And then also pyrite. Pyrite is like my secret to manifesting. It's amazing for just, it's an amazing everyday crystal to work with when you have a goal in mind that you're working towards. And I think that that's really important for this year, to focus our minds and our attention on what we want and what we are working towards. So there's so many crystals. I could go on.
I love those.
Those are just some that I always try to think of crystals that are that everyone can kind of, that has access to, and that are affordable. And so
on your golightlyhealing.com, do you have like a blog, or do you have like resources where people can kind of read about crystals, or how is that set up?
So that's actually how I started my podcast. Is I was thinking about doing a blog. I love to write. I feel like when I sit down with pen and paper, things just come to me. So I had every intention of starting a blog, and then I just kept receiving that I needed to do a podcast. And so started Golightly Radio for this very reason, for anyone that has
Yes.
questions about like
Perfect.
crystals and how they
Yes.
work and how to use them
Yes.
and which crystal they need. And so
Yes.
we're about
Awesome.
20 episodes in right now. Yes.
Oh,
but
wow. Good.
it's all about crystals. So anything that
Amazing.
you, yeah, would
Any
want
question
to
you have, you've probably answered.
know. I hope so. That's the
I
goal.
bet you have. I bet you have. I
So
was going to
yeah.
ask you kind of for our final crystal related question. As far as like clearing crystals, what are some of your favorite methods? I want to hear your perspective. I have some perspective on some of it too that I have a feeling.
I'm interested to know what you think, but
I think ours is going to be similar.
Probably.
Yeah.
My favorite way to cleanse crystals, and I think that it's so important. Like I try to tell everybody that it's so important to cleanse and clear your crystals because
really
they're energetic beings, right? And so we want to make sure that they're always operating at their like fullest capacity. So for me, my favorite way is to put them out under the full moon. That's like my absolute favorite. I just think they're of earth. It's just kind of like returning them home in a way so that they can kind of just cleanse and clear. And so my favorite way is under the moon, but I know that that's not always possible, especially like depending on where you live in the world and the weather. And so I also recommend, like, we actually offer selenite plates where if you're working, so with like tumbled stones or stones that you're working with every day, you can place them on selenite and that'll actually cleanse them. So we love that because that's like a nice everyday cleansing. But also white sage, passing them through the smoke of white sage. There's a lot of different options. I always just recommend what feels natural to you, like what you're kind of gravitating towards. Were you going to say the moon?
I was gonna say the moon and anything outdoor. So I keep a lot of my crystals outside more than not. Like I have my two favorite rose quartz are living on the patio. Like they've been out there for months and they love it because they're outside. They're in the sun, the moon, the rain, everything. They're among the greenery. I know some people don't have that option, so I always think like a windowsill, a patio, somewhere where they can get moonlight and or sunlight. But the moon is probably my favorite, hence the Moonstone probably.
Exactly. No, it's just them being outside, like I said, it's like that's like kind of like their like home. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I feel like it would feel like for us when we get back home and you feel like that just comfort. And
absolutely.
So I love to
I can't put mine in the grass. Like where I used to live, I would put them like in the dirt or in the grass.
Directly on,
I can't really do that because the gardeners come at unscheduled times and I worry about them. So I like to have them like very obvious so they don't get trampled or anything. But otherwise I would actually put them in like on the earth if I could. But they're on more of a plate. But so they see.
That's happy to be outside.
I think so. They're like out there for months, and because I also forget, which is fine because I know they're safe and happy.
They're living their best life out there.
They are. That's exactly it. And that's the thing for me is I, as an empathic person, like they're alive, so I feel like I want them to live their best life, and that's my primary goal for them. Over me, healing or whatever is happening with that. So that's why
I love that you say that.
That's how I honestly feel about it.
That's like one of the most important things to me. And I think that that's another reason why I started the podcast is I really wanted to convey the message that we, like a lot of people will just expect the crystal to work for them. Like it's not working. And it's very much like it's you and the crystal, right? Like you have to honor and respect the crystal as an energetic being that you're working with. And my biggest wish is that everyone just treats them with love and respect and just takes care of them, because they do so many amazing, incredible things for us, that I just think that the way that we treat them and even like how we like cleansing and clearing and just loving them, you know?
I agree.
It means so much to me that
that's how I feel. That's how I feel about houseplants and of course pets. Like, to me, if you bring a pet, a plant, or a crystal into your home, it's a member of your family. So it has to be treated with that much care.
Yes.
Like, I don't think it's something you do lightly. Now, if you're, open to it and you're into it, then it's amazing. That's always how I think of it. So, hence why sometimes those guys stay outside a lot. I have some inside right now. I have some outside right now.
It's funny too, like they kind of like, you can feel where they want to be, right? Like people ask me all the time, like, how do I know where to put my crystal? And I say, you kind of just like follow your intuition, like feel where it feels right. And you'll know, because sometimes I'll place a crystal somewhere and I'm just like, that's not right. Like, that's not where it wants to be. And I move them around all the time. But crystals love to be out and to be experienced and to be just like seen. Do you know what I mean?
Helping.
So,
I work with them too with like feng shui. So certain crystals for certain feng shui. And I've got like some in the prosperity corner, and they like to move, and they rarely want to go outside because they're like doing their job.
Yeah, they're like little workers. That's their station,
Yeah, that's that's the impression I get. Yeah. This has been so fun.
So honored to be here talking with you.
Yes. So at the end of every podcast, I ask everyone the same question. If you could send a message back in time to your 17-year-old self, one thing, what would it be?
I would tell myself to love myself more. Yeah. I'm super big on self-love. It's something that I've been consciously working on for years now. And that is just the first thing that comes to mind is
I love that.
I didn't love myself enough, and I wish I had. So I'm making up for it now.
Yay.
Yes.
Yay. That's good. That's what I think a lot of us are doing, for sure.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yay. You guys can find Amanda at golightlyhealing.com. You can find her on Instagram at golightlycrystals. And you can check out her podcast, which sounds like it is a wealth of information, called Golightly Radio. And thank you all for listening to Happily Holistic. And thank you, Amanda.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to Happily Holistic with me, Amy Lee Mercree. You can find out more about the show on amyleemercree.com on the podcast page. Please stop by your favorite social platform and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear how you liked today's show and what topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Come find me on Instagram and Facebook at Amy Lee Mercree. Until next time, stay happily holistic.